Not handing over Sheikh Hasina would be seen as an act of enmity or words to that effect. These are claims of the Muhammad Yunus administration in Dhaka. Sheikh Hasina is in India. She actually barely survived by the skin of her teeth as that rampaging mob had attacked her official residence. Now she's been sentenced to death. Now, Ambassador Sikri remains with me on this broadcast, as does Professor Brahma Chellaney. Also joining me is Professor Ayanjit Sen. General Bhatia is with me on this broadcast. I also want to bring into this conversation Varis Sonabi Khandekar, who's the former editor of GTV in Dhaka. In fact, he was asked to leave once radical Islamists had taken over. And Varis Sonabi Khandekar, how do you look at this verdict? And Bangladesh telling India, hand over Sheikh Hasina. If you don't, it's an act of enmity.
Thank you. Thank you for calling me. You already know that the interim government has made another ridiculous chapter in judicial arena. The court, the ICT court, has declared death sentence former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina and former Home Minister Ashaduজ্জামান Khan Kamal. You have already I think you have already seen a video clip of the lawyer of Sheikh Hasina in behalf of Sheikh Hasina, Mr. Amir Hossain, have given an speech to Bangladeshi media with a smiling face, but he said that he is hurt by this kind of verdict. So this is the reality. You may know the ICT, 3 judges of ICT recruit
Yes.
Illegally as like the interim government. And you know the lawyer of opposition lawyer of Sheikh Hasina with Mr. Attorney General Assaduজ্জামান have affiliation with some political parties like Jamaat-e Islam. So
imagine, and that is why she wasn't given a lawyer of her choice. Ambassador Sikri, can Bangladesh demand that she be extradited? What do you make of the tone, tenor, or are they only playing to their local audiences?
No, absolutely. I think this kind of a statement made by Asif Nazrul is a typical example of the anti-Indianism being preached actively by the Yunus regime, but it also shows a complete lack of understanding of what the process of extradition entails. Now, you cannot get anybody extradited by sending a one-sentence letter or a one-sentence demand saying now she has to be extradited, otherwise there'll be enmity. The process of extradition involves that Bangladesh government must now send all these details, the court case, the evidence, what was tested, what was not tested, all that has to be sent to the government of India together with the request for extradition. Then the government of India examines that. And in all probability, there'll be another court case in India as well to examine the details of those processes. Of course, the government of Bangladesh is free to give their lawyer for that. Sheikh Hasina can send her lawyer for that. The Indian government will have its own lawyer. So the process of extradition will then continue in India through an examination of the evidence given by the government of Bangladesh. And even, I mean, for example, the entire question of the ICT trying Sheikh Hasina doesn't have a mandate at all. The ICT was created by a legal mandate under the Parliamentary Act of 1973 only to try those who committed crimes during the 1971 Liberation War. Now, for an unelected government, an unconstitutional government, to suddenly say that this is the one that will try Sheikh Hasina and also change the judges. You will not believe that the chief prosecutor in the ICT is the same person who was defending the war criminals under Sheikh Hasina. So under Sheikh Hasina's government in the ICT, this person was defending the war criminals, saying they didn't do anything, they're good people, etc. And now suddenly he's made the chief prosecutor of the ICT. So it really makes no sense at all. This is really a kangaroo court decision, as Sheikh Hasina has said.
You say it's a kangaroo court, okay? And Professor Ayanjit Sen, Sheikh Hasina has called this verdict through a rigged tribunal, saying established and presided over by an unelected government that does not have democratic mandate. Due process was not followed. She wasn't given a lawyer of her choice. Now, what are her options? Can she go to an international court? Does she have to join trial in a, does she have to surrender in a month? Or is it end game for her as far as Bangladesh is concerned?
Thank you, Gaurav. No, it's definitely not an end game for her because as long as she is in India, And as Ma'am Sikri said as well, there's certain protocols that need to be followed before anything of that sort happens. So it's not that easy for any Bangladeshi advisor to just come on television and speak out saying, well, we want Hasina back. And it's just that they are trying to build a narrative. And that narrative started off with after the court verdict when Yunus apparently said that, it's a historic verdict against Hasina, and then followed it up through different means. So this kind of a narrative is being built because he has the upcoming elections, which he wants to schedule in February next year.
Yes.
So it's all done in such a manner that even if by chance, if they have to get Awami League into the fray, it would be without Sheikh Hasina. And
So
Sheikh
is
Hasina
that
being
the
the
entire
backbone.
game plan, Professor Chellaney? Ensure that there is no Awami League or Sheikh Hasina in the February election, rig it before the election starts, and remain in power by proxy. You see radical Islamists completely take over Bangladesh now?
Gaurav, the first thing that we should not forget is that the same dark forces that assassinated Sheikh Mujibur Rahman and much of his family in 1975 are today going after the main survivor of that 1975 massacre, Sheikh Hasina. And what's the reason? Sheikh Hasina still has a mass base in Bangladesh. You know how they have cracked down on Awami League members and leaders. They have imprisoned thousands and thousands of Awami League leaders and workers. And yet, in recent days alone, there have been flash protests in Dhaka and elsewhere in Bangladesh, including by students in support of Sheikh Hasina. So she still is a big threat to those who are in power and those who are seeking to come to power, like Jamaat and the BNP. But look at the irony of ironies. Today, an unconstitutionally installed regime in Dhaka that is overseeing rampant human rights abuses wants India to extradite Hasina, who was overthrown in a virtual military coup. India should turn the tables on Dhaka. India did not invite Sheikh Hasina to come and take refuge in India. No.
Absolutely.
The military in Bangladesh packed her off to India without consulting India. India was given no choice. They bundled her on a military aircraft. And as the military aircraft was taking off, they called New Delhi and asked for permission for the plane to enter Indian airspace without confiding in India that they had staged a virtual coup. So, we need not be on the defensive. First, in international law, an unconstitutionally installed regime cannot seek the extradition of someone who was ousted.
That's a very pertinent point you make, sir. Very pertinent point. So, Varisunabi Khandokar, will Sheikh Hasina, in your view, her party has been banned, she has been sentenced to death. So 2026 elections in February, will there be a sham? Can Awami League some way fight back for restoration? Or that's not possible with these radical Islamists in power? Hizb ut-Tahrir virtually calling the shots in Dhaka.
Thank you. It is very tough to come back Awami League and take a part in election next February, because the Bangladesh already taken over by the militant groups on evolution of Dr. Muhammad Yunus. So if Awami League wants to take a part in election in February, so they have to fight against them. That is very impossible. But the people of Bangladesh feeling the Awami League mostly, and the Bangladesh economy, Bangladesh law enforcement, and everything has gone down. The unemployment situation is very tough. There is no income in foreign investment. So in this circumstances, Bangladeshi peoples wants to take back Awami League again, and I think today, tomorrow, they will fight for Awami League, and
Can they do so? Can they do so? Is that even possible? We'll track that story very closely. I've sadly run out of time on this part of the show. I want to thank all my guests, though there are many, many questions, especially security implications for India in this situation. So you have a threat from the West, you have a threat from the East, and you have a threat within. How will India come out of this Chakravyuh remains our top focus story in the days and weeks ahead.